Good afternoon, everybody. Russ Lewis here in the KHOU newsroom. Good to be with you after a little time off this summer here on a Tuesday afternoon. We're on our digital platforms right now, giving you the latest of what's going on. We see a lot of you clicking on the story out of Baton Rouge. We want to give you the latest on that, a shooting at a Walmart there. And after what happened in El Paso over the weekend, you can imagine how this really freaked a lot of people out when police received a call there a little while ago saying there was an active shooter in a Walmart there in Baton Rouge at Burbank and Bluebonnet. If you're familiar with the city, you may know where that is. So when police arrived there, it turns out that there was not an active shooter, but there were a couple of guys shooting at each other inside the store. What happened is they got into some sort of argument at the customer service counter. Both of them had weapons, both pulled weapons, both started shooting. There was an innocent bystander in that Walmart who was hit a couple of times, went to the hospital, is okay, will survive, stable at this point, we're being told. But again, that was an innocent bystander. Police arrived within just a few minutes, arrived on the scene in 4 minutes actually, arrested one guy. They say one of the shooters was still there, got him, the other one took off. So this wasn't a situation where it was just people getting randomly shot inside the store, thank God, but it was a couple of guys who pulled weapons and started shooting in that Walmart, and there were about 100 people inside the store when it happened. So you can see why that freaked a lot of people out when they heard gunshots inside that store here earlier today. So we'll keep updating that story. We have several times today. Don't have a lot of video to show you at this point, but we wanted to at least give you the latest on what's happening there. Astros fans, you know this is a huge day in the season because tonight at Minute Maid, Zack Greinke makes his debut for the Astros, coming over to Houston in that trade right before the deadline from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He'll be starting tonight on the mound. He is 10-4 this year, and he is a great pitcher. And the fact that the Astros were able to add him right there at the trade deadline, a lot of people, not just in Houston, think that makes the Astros now the leading contender to win the World Series, or at least make it to the World Series with the starting pitching they have of Verlander, Cole, and now Greinke, who, again, very, very good. So all the fans going out tonight, you're going to get a Welcome to Houston Zack Greinke t-shirt. All fans in attendance get that tonight as they bring the new guy on board for the stretch run toward the playoffs. We know one thing for sure. Can't tell you how the game's going to turn out against the Rockies. I can tell you the roof is going to be closed. The Astros have already said that. I don't think there was any doubt, right? Now let's bring in Erika Lopez right now. It is hot out there already, and I know you're looking at hotter temps later this week, but it's got to be a roof closed kind of night.
Yeah, and there's a very good reason for that because we're actually tied right now with the hottest day that we've had so far. This is the current temperature out at Busch. 97 is the hottest temperature we've recorded so far this season. So we are talking about summertime heat, but also a few storms rolling in. So if we did not have these storms, I would say we are going to see the hottest days so far, hotter than 97, but this is what might save us. Some pop-up storms are popping up across the Houston area, so we're starting to see some of the storms push northward. Now the downtown Houston region, scattered showers that may bring in some rain-cooled air, and that means the possibility to not get hotter. It could be the case throughout this afternoon. It's something we'll keep an eye out for, but majority of the storms have been for our coastal counties this afternoon. Other than that, we haven't had any severe storms. Here's where we're seeing the heaviest of the rain right now. Notice some lightning strikes around the Channelview region, some thunderstorms on and off. Moderate to pockets of heavy rain, again non-severe, but this will bring in some rain-cooled air, and that might suppress the chance of seeing the hottest day so far this year. But I do think once we head into the second half of this work week, and likely this weekend, we're talking about near triple digits and definitely the hottest temperatures we're seeing so far this season. So let's take you out to the Kemah Boardwalk. Beautiful. Earlier this afternoon, we had some storms off into the distance, but now those storms have pushed northward. But it was such a beautiful sight. It's pretty warm out there. Make sure you're staying cool, staying hydrated, no matter what kind of outdoor activity you have planned, because we're talking about a stretch of the dog days of summer ahead. So scattered showers and storms today. Today's going to be our best chance of rain. Enjoy it while it lasts because rain chances suppress. Randy, one of our digital content. Hold on one sec.
Oh, nothing. We just have, when you're done,
yeah,
wrap up, toss back to Russ. We have breaking news.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to toss to Russ in just one sec for breaking news. I'll just take you to the 7-day forecast because we do have an update on that if my clicker worked real quick. But near triple digit heat is expected this weekend. I'm just going to pull this over so we can toss the breaking news real quick, but I'll show you guys your 7-day because once we head into this weekend, we have the possibility of seeing our first triple digit days ahead. Right now our forecast highs just shy of that. I do expect certain areas to definitely make it to at least 100 degrees. It's just, is Bush going to officially make it 100 degrees? So I'm going to toss things over to Russ for some breaking news, and we'll chat with you guys soon. You can have the latest forecast coming up at 4 o'clock on the 411.
Erika, thanks very much. We have some breaking news here just in the last minute or so while Erika was telling us what's happening out there. We found out that the jury has reached a verdict in the David Temple trial. This is his second trial. If you know the story, you know David Temple is on trial for murdering his wife back in 1999. He was convicted the first time, but then it was ordered that he receive a second trial because of misconduct by prosecutors. Do we have any idea, Randy, when that's going to be announced? The verdict? Okay, thank you. So we just received word that the jury has told the judge they have a verdict, but we don't know what the verdict is. We don't know when it will be announced. We have some folks here in the newsroom checking on that right now to try to give you a better idea when you can expect that. Of course, we will. Just a few minutes from now? Okay. So coming up in a few minutes, we're going to know that verdict. We'll try to stay with you here as we figure that out. But if you know the story, it was back in '99. David Temple's wife, pregnant, murdered. He was considered, I believe, almost immediately, but this is again 20 years ago. She was found on January 11th, a gunshot wound to the head in the closet of her Katy home. So this was a big case back then, and he was convicted and sent to prison, and again ordered to receive a second trial that just wrapped up yesterday with closing arguments given to the jury. They have not been out obviously very long, and they are back with a verdict this afternoon. So we believe they got back to deliberations this morning, first thing, and so that would put it at just several hours they've been deliberating in this trial. Do we have anything yet?
Nothing yet. Appears as the jury is walking back to their seats. I'm not sure if we can stream.
We're not streaming, right?
We can't. Yeah.
No, not allowed to.
Not right now. Not until the verdict proceeds. Yes.
No, we're
Not until we hear from the judge.
No, not until we can hear the reading of it, but not until the jury's back in. Or is the jury back in?
It
Looks like the jury just came in and was seated. So we're watching. If you're watching here digitally, we're watching on camera here, but we're not allowed to show the jury on camera. So we're waiting until everyone gets in place. We may be able to just stream this verdict live. We do have a camera in the courtroom, but we have to wait till everyone gets set up. The judge gets back in there, and we get the camera in the right spot to be able to bring this to you. Now you get in big trouble, obviously, if you show juries on camera. They are not supposed to be on TV and on the internet for good reason. So we won't be doing that. But we're going to try to hang with you here if we can for a few minutes until we see if this jury is going to be read. I do see David Temple there standing with his attorney. And so we're looking here at him. And the way I can see his attorney milling about here, that doesn't appear the judge is back in the courtroom yet. They wouldn't be doing that if the judge was there. So we may be more than a few minutes away. I'm just not sure at this point. When these things happen, jury goes out. You don't know when that verdict's going to come, if at all. So sometimes it takes a while. Once the jury notifies everybody it's reached a decision, for everybody to get back in place, to get physically back to the courthouse sometimes, and certainly to get back into the courtroom and be ready to hear that verdict. Prosecutors, defense attorney, defendant, obviously judge, everyone needs to be there, and they usually provide consideration for family and the people in the audience to get back into the courtroom as well. Rarely do people hang out or even be allowed to hang out in the courtroom while the jury's out. People go do their own thing and stay close and then be ready to come back when this happens. Any word yet on what we might be able to hear this?
No word yet.
Any minute?
We're trying to figure out what we can and can't stream
Okay.
at this point. but we're still waiting for the verdict to be read. So.
Okay, so we're figuring out what's allowed here. I see some law enforcement there standing behind the defendant. And we want to make sure we comply by all the court rules here, so we don't want to stream anything we're not allowed to. We think we might be able to get you the verdict live as it happens. If not, then we will watch it here, and I will relay to you what is said in the courtroom here in downtown Houston. Just a little more than 8 hours of deliberations in this case. So I've seen ones go a lot longer, and of course a lot less time as well, but that's how long this jury's been out in the second trial of ex-football coach David Temple. Our camera zooming in on him here. He looks like he's in a gray sport coat and a blue button-down shirt, no tie. And his fate hangs here in the next few minutes, we assume, as we wait for that jury to come back with its verdict after 8 hours of deliberation. Were 4 hours of closing arguments yesterday. 7 men, 5 women on this jury. They went to a hotel. They were sequestered overnight, along with 4 alternate jurors. So we had 18 days of witness testimony in this trial. A lot of people talked on the stand about the rough relationship between David and his wife Belinda. And as the defense put, to 5 or 6 maybe alternate suspects police could have looked at, but the defense says they zeroed in on her husband David. He's a former football coach. He's now 51, and state prosecutor said he was the sole person with motive and opportunity to fatally shoot his pregnant wife. His wife, I'm reading here, suspected her husband was having an affair, which proved to be true. He was having an affair with a coworker at the time. And again, wife Belinda was pregnant. And I'm looking here, looks like David Temple is now seated at the defense table with his attorney.
That's all video.
Oh, it's all video. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
There you go. That's what you're seeing.
That's the live. Okay.
Yep.
I was looking at some old video there. So it looks like most of the people are back into the courtroom now. We see a lot of the aisles filled with spectators. This is, of course, a very high-profile case. It's pretty rare somebody gets convicted and sent to prison and then almost 20 years later is brought back for a second trial. And we'll see if this one ends the way the first one did, with a conviction for murder. So if you're just joining us here, we are waiting on a verdict in the David Temple trial. We just got word 5 or 10 minutes ago that the jury has reached its verdict after 8 hours of deliberations. If you remember the story from 1999, we're going back 20 years now. David Temple, a football coach in Katy, was convicted of fatally shooting his wife Belinda. Okay, thank you. Fatally shooting his wife Belinda in the closet of their Katy home. We're told the judge is back in the courtroom. The defendant is there. I believe we watched the jury come in and be seated as well. And we expect that verdict to be read here in a few minutes. Any updates, guys?
Not yet, just that the judge is in. What's that? They're reading the verdict?
They're reading it now?
Yeah, they're reading it right now. So
Can we stream it, or should we not do that?
I want to check one thing.
Can we stream what? Can we stream the verdict?
The jury's coming in, so just make sure we're not showing the
Yeah, as long as
Right.
Okay.
Right now
they're
we're
reading
not.
it. They're reading it right now. We can stream it.
They're reading it?
Oh, that's what she said. They're reading it.
But we don't see it now.
No,
do
no.
we?
It's
Are they bringing in the jury? Or are they?
He says she thinks we can start streaming.
Does it think?
right here.
Okay, how about, can we put a slate up with like jury, just don't show, turn up the audio.
Nick Garcia is streaming out too.
Okay.
Okay.
The jury is coming in. You are listening to and watching. That's David Temple there, the ex-Katy football coach on trial for murder. The jury is coming back in. They have a verdict. Let's listen in.
All right, please be seated. All right, Mr. Foreman, I understand that the jury has reached a unanimous verdict. Is that correct?
We have, Your Honor.
All right, would you hand the verdict form to the bailiff? Thank you, Barry. We, the jury, find the defendant, David Mark Temple, guilty of murder as charged in the indictment. It's signed the foreman of the jury. Does either side wish for the jury to be polled? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you if this is your verdict. Answer yes or no. And this is your first jury number, okay? All right, number 1, is this your verdict?
Yes.
All right. Number 3, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Number 5, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Number 8, is this your verdict? Anybody remember who that is?
We have a mistake. She was number 5.
I was number 5.
All right, number 5, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Okay. Number 8, is this your verdict? Deliberto?
Yes.
Number 13, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Number 16, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Number 17, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Number 19, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Number 34, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Number 35, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Number 43, is this your verdict? James?
Yes.
And number 47, is this your verdict?
Yes.
All right, okay. The verdict stands. All right, would both sides approach the bench, please?
All right, you've been listening here to the David Temple trial, the jury coming back guilty of murder for a second time. This is the second time he's been tried for this murder of his wife back in 1999. You saw David Temple look like he was about to become emotional. You saw people in the audience there, and I'll be honest, I don't know those people. I'm not in the courtroom, obviously, covering this trial, but we're going to assume those are family members of the victim who were visibly upset as they watched this second verdict be read after 8 hours of deliberation. So David Temple has served almost 20 years for this murder, but was ordered to have a second trial based on some prosecutor misconduct in this case. But this trial, after almost 3 weeks of testimony and deliberations, ended the same way the first one did, with him being convicted of murder. So we cut away from the courtroom there because the attorneys were told to approach the bench. We're not going to show the judge, and we don't want to accidentally get the jury and the camera shot there. So that's why we did not continue our streaming, but we wanted to bring that to you live, as you saw some of the folks in the audience there in the courtroom, and also David Temple himself react to that guilty verdict just a few minutes ago. We will continue following this, obviously get some interviews outside the courtroom from anybody who wants to give us their thoughts on this case a second time around. We'll have that for you coming up on the 411 at 4 o'clock here in about an hour and 20 minutes. Also, we'll, of course, keep you posted on anything that happens digitally on all of our digital platforms here on KHOU. I'm Russ Lewis. We'll see you soon.